Well, with the sound of the Zoom lady's voice ringing in our ears, welcome back to Cinema Flicks and Music Picks. I'm Dave, your host with the most, the beast with the least. The least I can do today is say hello to my good buddy, Tyler. Hello, Tyler. How are you today?
What's up?
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Tyler is joining me for a split screen, interactive, one-on-one deposition where Tyler is going to have to defend his existence against my onslaught of questioning. So, Tyler, thank you very much for being here.
No, thank you for having me. It was awesome. Finally on your channel. Let's do this.
Yes, and we'll talk more later because there's plans for you, young man. There's plans for you.
Sweet. Let's do this.
Question 1. What's up?
All right.
What's up?
Give it to me, Davey.
That's question 1. What's up?
You're looking at it. Finally got the day off from work. Spinning some Buddy Guy, as you can tell in the back.
Yeah, you're literally plugging the t-shirt. So, Tyler, you started your YouTube channel a few months ago. Maybe something like that now.
About 2 months, yeah.
2 months. And LP Tremors. Let's plug it nice and early. Plug it early and often. And by God, what was life like before LP Tremors? Because you just cover like the best thing. It's like oh, horror movies, hello music, like smash.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? The blues is coming, and we're mixing it with horror movie. Whoa, yes, it's everything I didn't know I needed, and you're on it, which is even better because you're great. You can tell this interview is going to be a little bit of a, you're fantastic.
Freebie, let's do this.
so, what was your inspiration for saying, I'm going to do a channel, I'm going to start a channel?
Wow. Okay. So, where do I start? All right. So, I guess I'll start from the beginning. Music has been my life ever since before I could walk, basically. It really all started with a little obscure band nobody knows about. They're a little band called Aerosmith. They're very unknown. You probably never heard of him, like Steven Tyler, and he's very unknown. He's kind of a local.
Anything to do with you, Tyler? Steven Tyler? No.
Yeah, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, a little band called Aerosmith. They kind of birthed me into music. My dad played them all the time. When I was 3-4 years old in the car or around the house. He's an Aerosmith fanatic, still is. And since then, I was hooked on Aerosmith. Like, me at 7 years old, I had all the albums. I knew Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Brad Whitford, Joey Kramer, Tom Hamilton by heart. And I was an Aerosmith fanatic. So much so that it just went blistering. Like it was just an explosion of different music. I was researching as much as I could. Now I'm into a bunch of different random shit. So long story short, music has been in my life forever. And not only that, but my mother actually got me into horror movies at a very young age as well. I was watching horror movies like mostly my mom was really into paranormal stuff like the old school stuff like Amityville Horror, The Exorcist, stuff like that. And I was watching those movies at a really young age, and that's really what got me into horror movies. And so I'm like, shit, I mean, there's paranormal movies, awesome. Oh my god, look at slashers, sweet. Look at alien movies, vampire movies, what, holy shit. So since then, since at a very young age, same thing with music, just been researching different horror movies, different horror genres. I was a horror movie fanatic. So music, horror, nothing's really stopped since I was 4 years old. Just been on I don't even know what to call it. I'm just been obsessed, and I love to look at different stuff, some obscure stuff. Just as much music and horror I can get my hands on, basically. So that's pretty much a little bit of background of what I'm about. But how I started with LP Tremors, starting up the YouTube channel, that's something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. You know, we all know Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. I was watching Sea of Tranquility. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of, whatever. But no, he was a big inspiration for me. You know, I've been watching Sea of Tranquility for a very, very long time. So that was a big inspiration. There's a bunch of other YouTube channels that I've been watching well before LP Tremors. Sea of Tranquility, a big one. Metal Meltdown is another one I watched quite a bit. Thralls of Metal is another one. I can name a million different other YouTube channels. Old Head, that's another big one. And so, watching all those YouTube channels, especially Sea of Tranquility is probably the biggest one. I was watching quite a bit. And so, because of that, I've always had it in my mind that, you know what, I'm just going to start my own YouTube channel and just get my stuff out there. So, since I watch it all the time, that's pretty much my TV, just YouTube channels. So, if it's not horror movies, it's stuff like that. So yeah, so that's pretty much my inspiration. Didn't necessarily know how to start the channel, but I just said, you know what, fuck it. Actually, the biggest stepping stone into starting my YouTube channel was actually our good friend Ryan, Ryan Gavalier. So I was watching his channel a little bit, and I ended up commenting on, because he started with an Aerosmith little series that I became part of, but I'll explain a little bit how I got into that in a second. He started off an Aerosmith series with Grant and Peter, and so they started off with the Aerosmith series, and I was just commenting on that series, just in the comments, my thoughts about each album, whatever. Then Ryan replied to me real quick, and he just said, I love your thoughts, I love your charisma just by the comments. Give me a message on Facebook, and I'll get you on to the series. That's a no-brainer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what I did. So I just went on Facebook. I messaged Ryan over at his Facebook page, Ryan's Vinyl Destination. Messaged him on that, and all of a sudden, I was on the next Aerosmith video. And that was before LP Tremors, before I started it. And I finally was a guest on Ryan's channel, and I loved it so much that I'm like, you know what? This little thought about starting a YouTube channel, it's always been in the back of my mind. Fuck it, I'm gonna start it right now. So it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. I'm just like, screw it. This is a blast. I can get behind this. So I went on YouTube. I can't really describe how I came up with the name LP Tremors. It's just something that kind of clicked. So I don't have much of an interesting backstory about the name. But yeah, so
there's not the Kevin Bacon movie, because I just took it was the Kevin Bacon movie.
Nope, not the Kevin Bacon movie.
Huh.
Just a random name that came to my mind. So I just started the YouTube channel, and the rest is history. 2 months in, and I'm loving it. I'm working. I'm an EMT. I work in EMS. So 911 calls all the time and all that stuff. So it gets a little bit hard just coming out with content left and right like that consistently.
Yeah,
but I'm doing the best I can. Every time I get a little bit of free time, I get my camera set up, I get my microphone right here, and I just film whatever comes to my mind. So there you go. That's a little bit of history of what I'm about. So far, 2 months in, I'm loving it. And I met you, Davey, which is a blast. It's great to meet you. Great to be friends with you, Ryan, and it's just exploded out of nowhere. Now I'm on the Contrarians. It's crazy. Nice. So it's just stuff I just did not expect would happen. It just kind of fell into place, I guess, once I started the YouTube channel. Yeah, it's good.
There you were watching Sea of Tranquility, thinking, I wish I could talk to that Scottish guy one day. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that beautiful Scottish man.
And then one day there are.
Absolutely, look at that, right?
Well, thanks for that. You're a brilliant interview, because you interview yourself. That was terrific. That was
I tried.
that was brilliant. You mentioned our mutual friend there, and let's not even just say friend because we've got a million friends, but we genuinely fucking love ourselves some Ryan. Ryan. What a guy. What a dude. Let's embarrass him and go really over the top with our praise for Ryan here. Ryan's like the sun that brought us into this little sphere. And
He is.
and we ended up just I think our first video was just one of our vinyl pickups or whatever.
I think that was our first one. Yeah, the vinyl
Um,
haul video.
and we like within 2 minutes we were already just making jokes at each
We
other.
were already best friends, just bullshitting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 minutes. There was no awkwardness. There was no politeness either. It was no like I'll be on my good behavior tonight and then see how I can take it. It was just straight into the bullshit. And what a blast. And then we've spun that off into, do you like this? I like that. Do you like that too? I love this.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil Young. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So we all find these Venn diagrams that we all overlap in different ways, and
Right.
so we're over here, we're over there, and then we've all got our distinct areas, but then a lot of areas that cross over.
Yeah.
And you mentioned obviously horror movies, and that's one where we all really cross over. You, me, Ryan, and when he can join us, John Clouser as well in
Yep.
my music corner. Or John's music, but my music corner is the name. It's not It's not Davys' music corner. I don't have some secret shit. My music corner is the name, folks. If you don't know, I've linked him before. You should know. Horror movies. You mentioned slashes, especially. Is that what you gravitate to, or do you take them as they come, or do the slashes always have a special place in your heart? Because I know Freddy's obviously your numero uno.
So it's kind of tough to say. To tell you the truth, paranormal movies are what really are from the heart because those are the movies I really grew up with. You know, the ghost movies, demons, possession, stuff like that. Those type of movies are the ones that really gravitate towards me, just because they hit home for me. Those are the movies I really started out with. Those are the movies that really made me a horror fanatic that I am. But slasher is kind of weird thing. I mean, even if you're not a horror fan, you know Jason Voorhees, you know Freddy Krueger, you know Chucky, stuff like that. So I always knew about those guys. For the longest time, never watched Nightmare on Elm Street, never really watched Friday the 13th or Child's Play or Texas Chainsaw. Never really, those movies didn't really gravitate towards me for the longest time because I was just big on the paranormal stuff. And I don't know. I don't really know how slashers kind of came in. It was just something that Nightmare on Elm Street was the first slasher I really got into. That was the one that really got me into the '80s cheesy slasher stuff. And yeah, it's I don't know. I watched the first. I know I can't really describe what made me put on Nightmare on Elm Street. I started with the first movie and then just kind of went to the second one, the Dream Warriors, and the rest is history. But I put on that first movie and I was immediately hooked. I love the idea of Freddy Krueger. I love that whole atmosphere of the first movie. So much so that I just binged the whole franchise. And then I'm like, oh, Michael Myers, Halloween, that's cool. Started binging the Halloween franchise. Oh, Friday the 13th, the guy with a hockey mask, that looks cool. Why not? Started binging the Friday the 13th franchise, and that's actually my favorite franchise. That one really hits to the heart for me. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into slashers, and I've been a slasher fan ever since. If it's not paranormal movies, it's slasher films. I can't really describe why I'm really dug into those slasher movies, but it's just movies that really I don't know how to put it, but they're
Well,
just movies that really gravitate towards me. I just love the cheese.
we mentioned on your channel for your Friday the 13th series that we've started, which
Oh
again
yeah,
I'll link to in the description, folks. But if you're not already subscribed to Tyler LP Tremors, please do so, and also check out the videos I'm on, especially. Trust me. But all of them actually.
oh yeah.
The Friday the 13th video, we went into a little bit of Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. And I had cause to actually rewatch their special about Friday the 13th. And
Oh,
by God, you would think that this movie was the most depraved, filthy, disgusting, evil. Cisco goes on this rant about if you like this kind of movie, you must be the kind of person that enjoys. Is basically saying snuff films. You obviously enjoy just watching people die, and you think, I guess you don't watch westerns then, Gene. Yeah, I guess you don't watch war
yeah,
movies, Gene. Yeah.
right.
He doesn't, and people don't who aren't horror hounds appreciate the escapism. I don't think, and especially with, and we're not going to go into any serious notions of this, but especially with a job like yours, you certainly need a bit of escapism more than most of us. And there's nothing more primal than a slasher film, is there
Yes.
really, when it comes to just, here's sometimes a plot, not always. It's usually quite optional.
Yeah.
It's usually just a feel. It's usually a tone. Sometimes you have a
They're
bit of
just fun.
fun. Yeah, bit of
They're just
fun
fun.
guessing who it is, but usually it is what it is for what it is sake.
Yeah.
And I think some people, especially those old school critics, those boomer critics, let's use the word, take it just a bit too seriously and don't really know what it is.
Right.
But do you also differentiate between, say, critically acclaimed horrors? Because you mentioned things like The Exorcist there, and that obviously
Yeah.
was a massive critical success as well as an audience favorite. So
Yeah.
do you like those more cerebral horrors as well? I mean, you mentioned paranormal, but do you like, say, these psychological horrors from A24 that are coming out and those kind of
Oh
movies?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm big on the A24 films. Just anything really.
Mhm.
I really try to gravitate towards movies I've never seen or I've never heard of before. You know, like the real down the depths
Mhm.
obscure stuff. I try to look for that stuff, along with some like critically acclaimed stuff as well. You know, just anything I can really get my hands on and that really gravitate towards me. You know, I love just giving movies a chance that would never even in a
Yeah.
million years think I would get into. I love just the feeling of this getting into something new.
Mhm.
I love just getting to like I said, the deep down the depths obscure stuff. All the way from that, all the way to Oscar nominee award winning movies, you know?
Good, because
Just
that's the way I like to think of it, is that they're all movies. It doesn't really matter if they've had great reviews or if they're considered, pieces of crap.
right.
It's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? So it's always fun to have your own experience.
Yeah.
And I think horror particularly suffers from that, where people will, oh no, this one's a real horror, as if, the one with Tony Collette from a couple of years ago.
Mm.
What's that called again? Hereditary. That was
Oh yeah.
getting all
Hereditary, yeah.
sorts of acclaim, whereas a more exploitative film with exactly the same moments in it would have had 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's probably the genre with the most snobbiness, I think, when it comes to
I would say so, yeah.
and one that you just have to kind of put that out of your mind and just take a chance yourself, as you say. And it's easier now in the age of streaming, although we do like ourselves some physical media. That's what we're all about, is owning the product. Have you any favorites that you've picked up in the last, say, few years from physical media, maybe from Arrow or Scream Factory, or that you hadn't seen before, or anything like that?
You mean within the past couple of years?
Yeah, just in the last, that you just weren't on your radar. So.
So, I've been really getting into the Italian horror stuff, like Dario Argento
Hmm.
and Mario. I've been really getting into. Just I've been getting to a lot of Italian horror lately, and what else? What else? What else? I'm trying to think within the past couple of years because lately that's kind of what I've been watching. And let me see. Let me see.
Shut up.
Actually, what I've been watching is a lot of like stuff on. I don't really have any physical media of this yet, but I have a subscription to Shutter.
Hmm.
For anybody who doesn't know, it's pretty much the Netflix for horror movies.
Hmm.
Highly recommend Shutter, by the way. Really, it really picks out the hidden gems. So I think any horror fan should get Shudder. It's very cheap too. It's like $5 a month or something like that. But I've been watching a lot of like the Shudder exclusive stuff. There's some really good Shudder exclusives out there. And then I've been watching like a lot of like the old school 70s stuff. Like for example, like I love the really shitty stuff like Chopping Mall. Like that was like the fucking killbots and everything like that. Like I love the just absolute ridiculous stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I've been watching a lot of stuff like that lately. Like Chopping Mall, Tourist Trap is another one from '77.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. List goes on and on. Just anything I can really get my hands on. I love slashers. I love paranormal stuff, and I love going into like the monster stuff, like Godzilla as well, or Predator. Like Prey just came out.
And they should do a video about this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we definitely should. I'm definitely down for that. We'll talk more later.
I've done one on Sea of Tranquility.
Yes, you damn right did. It's a great movie, by the way. I'll just put a spoiler out there, but
yeah.
But yeah, so I like a lot of monster movies, vampire stuff, Dracula, the classics. List goes on and on. And like I said, anything I can really get my hands on. And Shudder, like I've been watching a bunch of Shudder stuff. Awesome documentaries on Shudder too, like the Crystal Lake Memories, the Friday the 13th documentary. They really go in depth with every single movie from the first movie all the way to the remake. So that's a really good documentary. Eli Roth has a history of horror thing on Shudder, which I'm watching every. What? Not a fan?
I hate Eli Roth. He's like the dude bro of horror. I think it's just
like the Hostel movies.
No, I hate them. I hate torture porn. I hate torture porn.
They're not for everybody.
Yeah, I hate it just when it's for the sake of it. I think it just
How about something like Jigsaw?
No, I hate those movies. I think.
Did you?
Yeah, the only thing I enjoyed about the first one is that Danny Glover was a cop in it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But 25 years after Lethal Weapon, where he was saying he was too old for that shit, he's still a cop. It's like, so how old are you now then, Danny Glover? If you're too old for that shit 25 years ago.
Yeah.
300-year-old cop looking for it, although one of the guys that was in the cell tied up was Carrie Elwes from The Princess Bride, so I did quite enjoy that.
Was.
Yeah, so it was fun seeing. It was fun seeing. What's his name? The Princess Bride again? Oh Christ, Princess Buttercup and what's his name?
I remember.
Oh, I love that movie as well. It's inconceivable. I don't remember. Wesley from the
Wesley, yeah, that's it.
Inconceivable. I love that movie.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
It's a good one.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. So Princess Bride. Princess Bride's episode coming soon, folks. Shudder is one of the places where you can find obviously a lot of great horror.
Yeah.
Arrow Player is another one.
Right.
There's loads of these ones, but this week, and maybe about 10 days ago now, actually, HBO Max started taking down a lot of things.
I noticed that. Yeah.
So do you find in this age of streaming, which is great, because we've all got, even if we've already got, which we do, thousands of albums and movies ourselves, you've also got another video store in your computer all the time permanently.
Yeah.
Do you still find that urge to own it when it comes out, if you like it anyway? Do you still need to buy it?
Oh, absolutely, I do. Like I'll go on my Shudder app and I'll link it right to my TV. Any movie I find, I'll play it. Movie I've never seen, at least, I'll play it. If I really like it, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go on Amazon right now. I'm gonna see what their options are, and I'm gonna go ahead and buy it.
Yeah.
So the answer pretty much is yes. Like if there's a movie I really like on Shudder or on whatever, I'll go ahead and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I need it on physical media. Big physical media guy.
Yeah.
The streaming is just kind of like, it just opens my eyes to more stuff.
Yeah.
And
gateway drug, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I need the physical media.
Yeah. It's like I remember the day Neil Young took all his stuff down from Spotify earlier on in the year.
Yeah, the Joe Rogan thing, yeah.
And there was loads of fans. Oh my God, how am I going to listen to Neil Young now? And I'm going, not a problem.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
Oh well,
Whatever.
I'll stick on my 4 copies that I've got of each of the records. And
Right.
physical media is better. Live bumper stickers should be issued. The man I just mentioned is someone that we both have a lot of admiration for there, Mr. Neil Young. Let's just flip on a dime and go into that. How'd you get into Neil Young, Mr. Hagopian?
What's that?
How did you get into Neil Young?
How did I get into Neil Young?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Neil Young, I was a little late to the game. Like, I knew the big hits for a long time, like, for example, like Old Man, Rockin' the Free World, Heart of Gold. I knew the big hits, the hits that everybody knows. So I was on that for the longest time. He is one of those artists where, I always heard his music. I've always liked his music. But for some reason, I never really dug deep into his music. I didn't dig deep into the deep cuts. For the longest time, he was like an artist like that. And it wasn't until I got my turntable, and that was 2 years ago. Well, when was that? Yeah, about 2 years ago when I got my first turntable. And so once I got my turntable, that really broadened my horizons some more stuff. And that's a big reason why I started the vinyl channel, LP Tremors, because, collecting vinyl really opened my eyes to a lot more stuff that I would never think I would ever listen to. And so Neil Young, he is one of those artists where go to any record store ever, there's gonna be stacks of Neil Young records. Doesn't matter the pressing, it could be an OG all the way to like a 2015, 2016 reissue. You're gonna find some Neil Young records easily like that. So I have always heard Harvest, like the name Harvest. Like that name was like embedded in my brain. An album that like I've always heard Heart of Gold, always heard Out for the Weekend, Old Man, stuff like that. That album is obviously loaded with different hits. And I kept seeing that pop up in the record shop. And I was always told that Harvest sounds amazing on vinyl. You need to get the physical copy of Harvest. It's a must. So me browsing through record shop, that's a record that's always been popping up. I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this. So it was like within a month or two into having my turntable, I picked up Harvest and I put on my turntable, and that's how I became an instant fan. I've been trying to collect everything Neil Young has been a part of, whether that's his solo career or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I've been really anything Neil Young has been a part of, I've been trying to find it. And now I have a really decent sized Neil Young collection, and I've been a diehard fan ever since. So we're going on probably like 2 years now, where I've been really, really listening to Neil Young, and it's just an escape for me. He quickly turned to one of my favorite artists of all time. He is one of those artists where like it's weird because it's becoming a little bit of a tradition now. Like I wake up in the morning when I have the day off and I don't have to get up super, super early. Like I'll get up from bed, I'll come in here, put on a Neil Young record, grab some coffee upstairs, and then come down, put the needle on, and just enjoy my morning, just like that. And usually it's like Harvest and Harvest Moon. That's kind of like those two records are the ones that I usually put on in the mornings. But I go all over the place with Neil Young.
It's great. You accidentally made about 5 Neil Young references in your speech there. You said like everybody knows. Now I'm going, everybody knows.
See what I did
and
there?
Then you went, and I put the needle down. And I'm going, needle and the damage.
Needle and the damage done.
I think the reason that Neil is in the bins a lot in record stores, because he is here too, is because he's so eclectic. I think so many people have went, oh, I'll try this album, and they've bought Weld, thinking it's going to be another Harvest, and Weld isn't Harvest, folks.
It's not Harvest, right?
A little bit, or Sleeps with Angels when they're expecting after the gold rush. little bit different.
It's kind of weird because I see a lot of similarities between him and somebody like, for example, David Bowie, where like David Bowie, he's all over experiments. Like every album sounds completely different from one another. Neil Young's kind of like the same way. Some like he has an era where it's kind of like hard hitting and like kind of like heavier, and then he has like the folkier stuff, like for example, Harvest, and then it's just back and forth like that. Same thing with guys like David Bowie, and that I like really resonate with guys like that. That they're not confined to one genre. They're not comfortable just being the same album over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I really resonate guys with that, and I think that's a big reason why I got into Neil Young. And like I'm a big David Bowie fan, like I said. A lot of that is because of that experimentation. Every album is different. Every album sounds fresh, and that's why I think their legacy really builds up to this day. It's still like I mentioned David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That album came out in what, like 71, 72? That 72, yeah. That album sounds like it could have came out in 2020, 2021 because it sounds fresh. And then you go into something like Hunky Dory where it sounds completely different, or Aladdin Sane, and then you go into like Station to Station. Like, so David Bowie's like in that same route. So guys like David Bowie, guys like Neil Young, that's kind of why I resonate to those guys, because of that experimentation.
And I saw David Bowie in his last tour.
Really?
Yeah, like a tour, 2003 when I was 18. And obviously didn't know it was his last tour. It was just the tour for the recent album, Reality.
Yeah.
And he never toured again. Yeah. But
what do you think of Black Star? His last
loved
album?
It comes up in my feed every year. Because I bought it on the Friday and he died on the Monday.
Yeah.
So it comes up on the Friday, or the equivalent of every year, me saying, I've got the new Bowie album, it's great, it's terrific, I have to go out and buy it. And then 2 days later it comes up going, Bowie's dead, fuck this. Like, and I swear to God, the same like that week, I posted about Alan Rickman and he died the same week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I posted about him literally, so it was like a death curse. I was scared to post about a celebrity for a month after that. I was like, oh, better not mention anybody that might die.
Then I believe Lemmy died a month earlier.
I didn't post about Lemmy, I don't think, but what it's bizarre how these things happen, but I suppose 'tis the season. All our heroes are of an age now, aren't they? Where they're too old to die young.
Absolutely right.
So it's going to happen more and more as we get forwards. I mean, the amount of people that I love, and every time I see them celebrating a birthday now, it's like their 80th or something. I'm like, oh no,
buddy guy,
86 the other week. Yeah,
he just turned 86.
Yeah, unreal.
And I just had the privilege of seeing him last weekend.
And he used to be the young guy of the blues scene.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he really was.
I mean, it's crazy to think that Damn Right I Got the Blues was considered this great comeback record, and he was 54 at the time,
something like that. Yeah.
So he was about the same age as most of the classic blues guys made their first records.
Yeah.
As we said on one page the other day, Albert King never made an album.
Albert King, yeah.
What, 47, 48? Everything else was just like they used to do. They just take singles and then compile them into an album, but it's not really an album. The first time he made a real album was 68, 69, which is nuts. Because everybody thinks Born Under a Bad Sign's an album, which it technically is, but it's just a compilation of singles.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's still great listening, obviously. Born Under a Bad Sign.
Amazing.
I'm in a phone booth, baby. I love that record too.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
And the Stevie Ray Vaughan session.
Session, Albert King, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I must admit, my absolute.
Yeah. Yep.
Here we go, folks. We're gonna get it. See it. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I think the pipe makes it for some reason. The pipe just makes it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Beautiful, right?
Cool personified.
Yeah. Love this record.
Although I must admit, I still prefer Freddie King.
Do you?
I much
I
prefer.
love Freddie King, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Albert King had a better period in 68, 69. That period where he was doing support acts at the Fillmore and things.
Yeah.
And Livewire, Blues Livewire came from that. And Saturday Night at the Fillmore, and what was it called? Or, one of those kind of titles. But Freddie King in the early 70s, where he was doing like, I'm going down, 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 and
Freddie King's great.
going back to Dallas, living in the palace of the king.
Yeah. I don't know. With Albert King, you get records like this though, where it's just
which was his first
like the late '60s. Albert King is to die for. Yeah. This was what '69.
Yeah,
first record is freaking awesome. This is probably my favorite Albert King record, to be honest.
Yeah,
I love this record.
Yeah. There's no wrong answer. There's
no wrong answer. Both Freddie King is awesome. Albert King's great. Whatever, to each their own. Both are great. You're not going to go wrong with either or.
And BB to complete the three Kings. BB King as well, but
BB King's mate,
yeah. BB is probably less consistent because he just released.
I would say so.
I would agree. He released 398 records, but.
What did he have? 55, 56 studio records, something like that.
Yeah. And when he was great, like Indianapolis Seeds and The Jungle, great records, but some of it was just pretty generic. Generic.
He had BB's kind of a tough one, but still love him. So
live records are probably best for BB. You look live at the Regal and stuff.
Yeah, I have where is it? Hold on. This is one of my favorite ones.
Cook County Jail.
County Jail. Yeah. That's a big one of my favorites.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
So,
I think that's on a twofer with Indianapolis Seeds. Now, come to think of it.
Yeah, that was this was 1970, I believe.
Yeah, that would make sense. That was 71. So
71, 71. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Awesome record.
Yeah, I saw BB in 2008, and I'll never forget that day. Because I went down to Manchester for that, and it was the day Michael Jackson died.
Bruh. Oh wow! Okay.
So on the drive home, it was on the radio that Michael Jackson died. That's always
wow!
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. That's the end of that story, but hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wish I got to see BB King. I never got the privilege to see him.
To be honest, at that stage, it really was just the band were amazing. BB was there, and you got a couple of great licks on Lucille.
Right.
It wasn't really BB King,
Okay.
It wasn't a bad show, but put it this way: the support act was John Mayall and the Bluesbreakers, and John Mayall blew him off the stage.
Really?
The stage.
Did he?
So John Mayall's not that much bloody younger than BB would be, but John Mayall was. John Mayall kept himself fighting fit. I mean, he's just getting the album out as well. He's pushing.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
pushing 90, and he came right out onto the stage, jogging in a tank top.
Really?
Yeah, and even then he was about 78, something like that. So wow. But what a band he had. I mean, Christ, when you think every day that went through the Bluesbreakers in the years, I mean, the whole of Fleetwood Mac, the original lineup. Obviously Clapton. And then right up to date with guys like Sonny Landreth and Buddy Whittington. He's had just the most amazing guitar players over the years. Just unreal.
Oh, absolutely.
John Mayall's just.
He's great.
He did a great Freddie King covers album as well, In the Palace of the King.
Right. He did. Yeah.
So let's go back to. Do you hear that? That's the Godzilla theme tune.
What was it? Yeah, that was.
That's my alarm.
There you go, guys.
Why have I got an alarm set for 20 to 1 in the morning? Excuse me, Tyler. Entertain yourself, folks.
What's up, guys? Cheers.
There we go. I'm sorry, Tokyo has just been invaded, and that's the alarm I get every time Tokyo is under attack.
Yeah.
So, isn't that weird? You mentioned Godzilla about 20 minutes ago, and then my alarm goes off, and it's the Godzilla theme.
It's a Godzilla theme. That's awesome.
If we get taken down now because of copyright by Toho,
Who knows? Maybe we'll do a Godzilla trilogy or a whole Godzilla series
yes,
someday. That would be cool.
because when Ryan and I first met, and we just get talking about what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
One of our first ideas was Gamera.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. And then
Cool.
we just came up with so many different ideas that sometimes we just mention Gamera now and go, remember that? Like, there's just so many ideas, it's non-stop.
Mm.
Do you, to go back to Neil Young, do you have a favorite Neil Young record that hasn't got the word harvest in it? That's what I meant to ask you before.
Wow. You know what? I actually kind of do. What I guess yeah, I do. Hold on. Yeah.
Suspense is killing.
I really love his early catalog. And this record really is one that I really resonate to. I do play this one quite a bit. Harvest and Harvest Moon are my personal favorites because those are the ones that really, that really introduced me to Neil Young and that got me into Neil Young in the first place. So those two records will definitely hold a special place in my heart. But outside of Harvest and Harvest Moon, I got to give it to this one.
Na, 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 na.
Beautiful.
Everybody know.
Yep, everybody knows. You got Cinnamon Girl in here, Down by the River. This record's so good.
Shot my baby.
Yes. But I also love albums like After the Gold Rush, right here. His debut was awesome, Neil Young. I really resonate towards his early stuff.
Yeah.
So
I must admit I used to resonate towards the very, very early stuff as well.
Yeah.
As I got older, it was all about the Ditch trilogy for me.
Was it?
Time fades away, and On the Beach especially. Oh my God, do I love On the Beach.
On the Beach is beautiful.
I just think it's one of the best. And that's my favorite Neil Young album by far.
But you know one record that might be up there as one of my favorites now. I've been listening to this record a lot. And it's a new release. And I'm loving it more and more every single listen.
Hey,
Toast. The 2001 Lost Record. I love this album to death. Every time I listen to this record, it's just growing more and more on me. And tracks like Quit, Going Home. You got Timberland. You got How You Doing. This is such a good record. And I don't know why they kind of slept on this in 2001, but my God.
Too difficult for Neil. It was all about the breakup with his wife, so he put it on the shelf.
Oh, right. Okay.
So a bit very similar to Homegrown. It was too personal in the 70s.
Homegrown, yeah.
So he didn't release it. He's done that a few times, and then sometimes he just scraps albums totally. I mean, Chrome Dreams has never been released, but we've had Chrome Dreams 2.
Oh yeah. Right.
2007, he released Chrome Dreams 2, which is a sequel to an album he never released. But we are going to finally get Chrome Dreams as part of Archives Volume 3, which will be very exciting.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you keep up with the Archives box sets, but
no, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Oh yeah.
every time one comes out. I mean, On the Beach for me is just a masterpiece because
On the Beach is beautiful. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Probably my favorite opening and closing tracks of any album ever, because it starts with Walk On with that amazing slide guitar, and then it closes with Ambulance Blues.
Oh yeah, yep, yes sir.
It just sounds like the music that should play at the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely
it's
should.
like Bob Dylan's Desolation Row to me. It's just got that same kind of quality. It's like the last, the last person to leave Earth, turn the lights off, please.
Right.
Really dark and depressing and wonderful.
It's dark, yeah.
But away from we've kind of covered Neil Young and blues. You are a metalhead as well.
You know it.
I know it. But these people might not. So what's your metallology there? You mentioned obviously Aerosmith were a gateway for you, but they're not metal, they're a rock bands.
They're hard rock, yeah, classic rock.
Bluesy hard rock bands. So how did you get into the metal?
All right. So, how I got to metal. So, like I said, I was really deep into Aerosmith, and they were the first band I first got into. No, not only rock, but music in general. And with Aerosmith came bands around that era. For example, AC/DC, UFO, Thin Lizzy, Van Halen, if you would count Van Halen. Even going a little bit earlier, like Zeppelin, The Doors, The Beatles, The Who, stuff like that. So I was deep into classic rock. But then I don't know. I was looking for something a little bit with a little bit more meat on the bones. You know what I mean? Like, so I started hearing this name a little bit obscure. You probably don't know him. His name's Ozzy Osbourne. He usually called himself the Prince of Darkness. I don't know. It's some guy from England. It's like, yeah. I don't know. And this little band called Black Sabbath. It's a lot of people don't know, but he was in a little band called Black Sabbath, a little obscure stuff. But so Ozzy, he was kind of my gateway into heavier music. I was probably about 8 years old when I first discovered Ozzy, and I discovered Ozzy before I discovered Sabbath. So the first album I ever heard from Ozzy was, of course, Blizzard of Oz. Um, Obviously his first record after Sabbath, and I was hooked on that record. You know, tracks like I Don't Know, of course, everybody knows Crazy Train, but Goodbye to Romance, Suicide Solution, that whole record's Mr. Crowley, another huge hit for him. That whole record I really dug deep in. So I'm like, oh, Ozzy, he's pretty awesome. Then I discovered Diary of a Madman, which is my favorite Ozzy record as of right now. But once I heard Diary, I was just this is my music now. You know, this is what I need to hear. So with Ozzy, I discovered Black Sabbath. So the first Sabbath record I heard was Paranoid, and I knew the tracks like Iron Man. I knew the title track. I knew War Pigs. So I got that on Paranoid. I'm like, oh, War Pigs! I know this track. This is awesome. But then like I started listening to that album more. I'm like, this is awesome. Like Fears Wear Boots, nice.
Yeah.
You know, this is a great record. So there might be something to this Black Sabbath thing. So then I discovered the first record, the self-titled Black Sabbath, and that record blew me away.
Yeah.
You know, me being a horror fanatic that I am, I listened to that title track, Black Sabbath. Like, what is this that stands before me?
With that chord,
I was hooked onto that just because of that track alone, and then the rest of the record, like The Wizard, everything, like that record just kicks ass. And NIB, of course. So I'm like, the Sabbath, this is awesome. So then I started getting to Master Reality, Sabbath Plays Sabbath, Sabotage, really like diving deep into the Ozzy years of Sabbath. And even like stuff like Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die. I still love those records too.
Well, thank God. I was about to ask the question because I'm one of these people. My favorite Ozzy Sabbath record is Technical Ecstasy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I adore that record.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely.
I never heard that.
I just You Won't Change Me is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Good for you.
Nice. I love that. That's that I've just come out. Good for you. I support you. I support you. Good for you. Awesome. I love that song so much. I'm just a man, and I am what I am. And that chorus, just Ozzy's voice and the way it lifts up. But I'd like to talk things over with you.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I that's funny. I never heard anybody say Technical Ecstasy or Never Say Die is their favorite.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
it's easily my favorite Aussie era one.
Awesome.
Easily. And I tell you what, I'd actually take Never Say Die above quite a few of the early ones as well.
Of the Full Sabbath discography or just
No,
Ozzy?
because I love Dio. I absolutely love Dio. So that's why
Yeah.
I have to say of the Aussie era, because I remember the first time that I put on Heaven and Hell
Yeah.
when I was 12, 13.
Yeah.
And I knew there was this other singer, and I was like, this isn't going to be Aussie.
Mm.
Hold on.
Here it comes again.
Right out, pictures of the realm. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. It's like all of a sudden I'm in Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah.
it's like a totally different
Absolutely.
vibe, but that pulsating rhythm,
Yeah.
Oh, this will do. This will do. And
Yes.
Heaven and Hell is probably still my favorite overall.
Heaven and Hell's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. My personal favorite is Sabbath Play Sabbath.
Yeah.
Just me personally. I think that's Ozzy's best vocal performance. That when he really gets up there, like Sabbath blood, Sabbath.
Yeah.
It goosebumps. And I think Ozzy just shines all over that record. So Sabbath Play Sabbath is my personal favorite, but Heaven and Hell might be my second.
Yeah.
I love that record. That title track alone just makes the whole record.
And it's on and on.
Heaven and Hell. Oh well.
That's what I love about Dio, and it's something I love about any singer is when they add these strange little bits in, like his look out, and all those strange little
Look out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Love you, Ronnie. We miss Ronnie. I saw Ronnie in Heaven and Hell when they toured.
Did you? Oh, like okay.
And
Like yeah.
and that was a great show, and they were having a blast on stage.
I bet.
Tony was smiling, Geezer was having a laugh, and then I saw them like 2 years, 3 years later with Ozzy on the 13 tour.
Oh wow, okay.
They were
Yeah.
completely checked out.
Really?
Yeah, that was,
I didn't see that tour. I've never seen Sabbath.
yeah.
But
The same people could not have been less interested. You could tell that when they
really?
worked with Ronnie, it was still creative and fun. When they worked with Ozzy, it was very much we're in the money, we're in the money.
Yeah.
Kind of sad, but it's great that Ronnie went out on such a high after the ups and downs with Sabbath, and then
He did.
coming back for Dehumanizer, and then that all falling apart again. They wanted him to be on a support act for Ozzy, and he was like, "Fuck that!" And
Yeah.
and then he comes back for Heaven and Hell, but it's really Sabbath, isn't it? He comes back for Sabbath and
Yeah.
to go out in his own terms. Even though I don't think The Devil You Know was a great album, but
No.
I
Yeah.
love the live album. That Radio City is so good.
Right.
It's such a great record.
Right.
So Ozzy was your kind of gateway, but then you went a lot of different places with that.
Yeah. So I would say Ozzy is my biggest gateway. Got me into Black Sabbath, and then I kept hearing Black Sabbath is the first heavy metal band. So I had to explore heavy metal. So and then one band that I still hold to this day is my favorite band of all time. And it's up there on one of my posters or a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden they came out for me shortly after Black Sabbath. Blew me away. But when I got into Iron Maiden, that's another band that was kind of like they were a band I kept hearing about. Same thing with bands like Judas Priest. I kind of got into both of those bands around the same time. But Iron Maiden, something about them. Like I love the album covers, seeing Eddie, with the Killers and Number of the Beast and the first record. This looks badass. This has to be an awesome record. So I ended up getting a greatest hits because I didn't know much about Iron Maiden. All I knew was they were a heavy metal band and they had badass album covers. So my parents took me to a record shop and I picked out a greatest hits Iron Maiden. It was called Somewhere Back in Time.
Mm-hmm.
Their Yeah, so you heard of it, yeah.
Mhm.
So it goes from like 80 to 89, something like that. And I got that on CD. I put it on my CD player. My God, what is that voice? Mr. Bruce Dickinson. That's what it is. Oh my God. This is a band I need to discover more of. So, their biggest album, Number of the Beast, well, arguably their biggest album. That's another album that like I kept seeing around. I kept hearing that name, Number of the Beast, Number of the Beast, and I grabbed that record. That's the first studio Iron Maiden record I ever bought, and oh my God, Invaders! Oh. Then it goes like Children of the Damned, The Prisoner, 22 Acacia, the title track Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name. I was hooked.
It's almost the greatest hits itself, isn't it?
It's almost the greatest hits, right?
Yeah.
And so since then, I was discovering more. Like it went from Aerosmith quickly to Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was my obsession now. I was getting Peace of Mind. I was getting the two Diano records. I was Power Slave, which is up on my wall. Somewhere Time, Seventh Son, Seventh Son, Fear of the Dark, and No Prayer for the Dying. The whole discography I was just looking at, and I was just loving every minute of it. So, and Iron Maiden quickly just turned to my favorite band of all time, and they still remain as my favorite to this day.
Do you know what I quite like about your two picks so far when we went into metal? You got Sabbath and you've got Iron Maiden there.
Yeah.
Both of them have an album at the start of their career where the song title, the album title, and the band are all the same. Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden from the album Iron Maiden.
Yes, Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath,
Black Sabbath from the album Black Sabbath. That's pretty weird.
Right.
That's a bit of coincidence.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Iron Maiden, they're definitely my favorite band of all time. I can't live without listening to Iron Maiden. But then it got me into like heavier stuff, like the thrash stuff.
Yeah.
So I started discovering more Metallica. Especially like the early catalog, like Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master Puppets.
Yeah.
Like the first four are just albums I cherish to this day.
Do you know I've got such a love hate with Metallica because I was 13 and I'd loved those records, fucking loved them. And then that was when you will be a little bit young to remember, but you know the story where Lars Ulrich and the whole band came out against Napster and downloaded.
The Napster story, yeah, no, I know.
And they just looked like the most corporate pricks.
They just turned to corporate.
And I appreciate, is their music, and blah blah blah. But in the same month, Lars gave an interview to Rolling Stone where he talked about how he used to tape Deep Purple songs off the radio.
Yeah.
And you think, but that was okay?
That was okay, right?
That was okay to take them for nothing? Yeah. But, when somebody else is downloading your stuff, that's all. And there was a great episode of Charlie Rose, which is just Lars, Charlie, and Chuck D from Public Enemy.
Yeah.
And Chuck D is arguing the complete opposite.
Right.
No, we make our money from live shows. Once the music's out there, It doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to anybody.
Right.
Because coming from a hip hop background, all their stuff was kind of samples anyway.
Yes.
So Chuck D was like, no, I spit these rhymes, but they ain't meant to keep. Whereas Lars wasn't having it. But Chuck just made him look like the most corporate motherfucker ever.
Right.
So at that age, it was very hard for me to put that aside and kind of like Metallica as as kind of cool rock band when they were being so corporate, they might as well be wearing shirts and ties. But
right. Yeah. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. They really turned to corporate real quick. I drop out, to tell you the truth, with Metallica. I drop out after the Black Album. I still think the Black Album's a great record. Yeah. But then after that, they came out with Load and was like, whatever. Yeah. Then Reload was just tanked for me. Then we all know Saint Anger.
And that movie that they thought was a good idea, which just made them look like the biggest bunch of twats ever, didn't it?
Yes.
Just infighting morons with massive egos and not much talent to back it up.
Right.
Yeah. What was that called again? Some Kind of Monster? Is that what the movie was called?
Yeah, Some Kind of Monster.
Some Kind of Monster. Yeah, it was just. Oh, that was not.
That was a rough watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good documentary, but not a good image for them. But,
yeah.
God, it doesn't seem to hurt them though, does it? I mean, they still sell out everywhere they play, so I think
whatever. But
you get to a stage
but
where you're just
yeah,
untouchable.
yeah. But then yeah, so I was listening to Metallica, especially like the first, like I said, the first couple of records, and then I quickly turned my interest to another band I cherish way more than Metallica,
Mm-hmm.
and that's its predecessor, or I mean, some people say Metallica, some people say Megadeth.
Yeah, Megadeth. Yeah.
I'm all about Megadeth. I've been about Dave Mustaine and Megadeth since I heard them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I heard the first Megadeth record I heard was actually Countdown to Extinction.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that record and I was hooked. I'm like, this is like snarly, like this dirty down. Like, I love this record.
Yeah.
Then I got into like the earlier stuff, like Rust in Peace that came before that. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit! Then So Far So Good, Peace Sells, Killing Is My Business. Then Megadeth was my new obsession. So I was hooked onto Megadeth, and they're a band where again they're another band I still cherish to this day, and I still love them. I listen to them a lot, and a lot more than Metallica, in my on humbled opinion, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
And I think they really, I mean, with a couple clunkers here and there, like for example, Risk is an album I'm lukewarm on, or 2014 Super Collider, that's another one I'm like whatever. But for the most part, that's a band that's really stayed consistent throughout their career. If you were to ask me, in my honest opinion, at least, like record after record is just great, great stuff.
And people do
And
forget there was that period just before the Black Album where
yeah,
Megadeth were bigger than Metallica. They were actually selling more records. And there was a real period where it looked as though Dave was going to be a bigger star than any of the guys in Metallica.
yeah,
Never quite happened because the Black Album just pushed them
Black Album is blue.
to the
Yeah,
moon. Yeah, absolutely to the moon. But yeah, I guess the Black Album is an appetite for destruction. It's a Back in Black. It's an album that you just coast off for the rest of your career.
yeah, it's an album that's not going to go away ever.
Yeah, you can just live off that Operation Mindcrime. Like all these kind of classic albums where if all else fails, you just fall back in that. You can tour that every so often. You can re-release
Right.
that 5 times a year. Yeah. Going to concerts is something you also like to do,
Of
and
course. Oh,
oh
absolutely.
my goodness, haven't we all missed that during the pandemic? And you've done a couple recently. You mentioned Buddy Guy.
Yep.
You went to a rather embarrassing one recently, which I don't think you'd consider it embarrassing, but I was appalled. You went to you went to Def fucking Leppard and Motley fucking Crew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
First of
So,
all, do you get drug tested often at work?
no, just a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
I needed a lot of that for that show. No, that was so I'm how do I put this? So I like how do I put this? All right, so I'm into the early Motley Crue. Like I'm into the first record, Too Fast for Love, and Shout at the Devil. Like I'm into that stuff. And then with Def Leppard, I really like Pyromania. I still think that's a great record.
Yeah.
Then High and
I'm
Dry.
right. Yep.
Yeah, so I love that Def Leppard, and I love that Motley Crue. And like they're iconic bands, obviously. Everybody knows those names. And I don't know how it happened. Somebody asked me if I wanted to go see Motley Crue and Def Leppard. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go to the show.
Yeah.
And that was before COVID happens. And then COVID happened, then that show got pushed back. So that was obviously 2020. Everybody knows COVID and the pandemic. So that got pushed back. And then I almost forgot about it, to tell you the truth. Like I almost forgot that show was I didn't think the show was happening, and I just completely forgot about it. But then, that certain somebody texted me. They're like, "Hey, still going to that show? So still got your ticket. All right, screw it." So I ended up going to the show. And to tell you the truth, so it was Joan Jett, Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue. Obviously, Motley Crue closed out my night at least.
Joan is literally the only person out of those four that I'd actually go see. I love Joan Jett.
Yeah, I love Joan Jett too. Joan Jett and the Runaways, perfect, right? But anyway, so
Lita Ford. Lita Ford,
yeah. But so Joan Jett came on, and she was really good. She made, I think she did like a 10-song set, something like that, and like she performed very well. And then about 20 minutes later, like there was a little small intermission as usual. Poison comes on. To tell you the truth, Poison is, out of those four bands, that's the band I hate the most. Out of those four bands, to tell you the truth, they were probably the best show of the night. They were just the most lively, I felt, at least. You know, Bret Michaels was really getting the crowd going, running all around the stage. And CC DeVille, you know, say what you will about CC, he is a great guitarist. He had this 10-minute solo like in the middle of the Poison set. I was impressed, at least. And I don't know, Poison, they were just very lively to me, and I had a good time watching them. And I don't know if it was this talking, but it was a great time. Like, everybody around me was getting into it. They just really put on a great show. And like Bret Michaels, he still stays in shape. His voice sounds like it was in '86. You know, he was good. As much as I would never get a Poison record, and they're just a band that I never liked, they put on the best show of the night, and that's coming from somebody who hates Poison. So they were really good. Then Def Leppard comes on. It was like a 30-minute intermission. They were really good too, to tell you the truth. Joe Elliott sounds great, and Phil Collins. I always thought Phil Collins was too good for Def Leppard. That's just me, at least. I mean, Phil Collins is one of my favorite guitarists of all time, and he just shredded all over that show.
Well, I think Viv's too good for Def Leppard. If you ask me, it breaks my heart that Viv tours with Def Leppard.
Yeah, and in my opinion, he's too good for Def Leppard. He really is.
It's not even just that he's too good. It's that he's been in such great bands. I'm like, you've done some great stuff. You've had some great stuff in your solo career. You had the River Dogs, your own band. Like, come on, do the stuff like that. But
cha-ching, that's what it is.
He wasn't playing stadium solo, was he? So
but yeah, Def Leppard was really good. They are probably the band that should have just headlined the whole tour, in my opinion, because we get into Motley Crue. They came on and
right. So
I enjoy some Motley Crue.
Can I take a guess that Vince didn't run about the stage quite as much?
That's funny. He was a wreck. Like, he did. They were the one band out of those four that just did not have their shit together at all. And it was like, if Vince wasn't doing that yelping, like, if he wasn't doing that, it was just a shit ton of backing tracks, and it was a bunch of extreme, like, they weren't even trying to hide it. It was just very in your face lip syncing, and like, it wasn't like the whole band, like, nobody was in sync with each other, and it was just a mess. Like, I was getting into it, like, I was a little drunk, and I was getting into it, and I enjoy like some Motley Crue's music, so I was personally getting into it. But my God, they were the one band that did not get their shit together at all. Like, they were just terrible.
I mean, they're on what? The retirement tour, volume 3 now, I think, or volume 4?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, they announced the retirement tour, did it.
And they did that in 2015, yeah.
Yeah, and then said, but so many people didn't have the chance.
The fans want it, right?
Didn't have the chance to say goodbye to us, so we thought it would only be fair to the fans. It's like, really? So why don't you let them in free then?
Right. Why are you charging all this money?
Why don't you put it free for fan club members then?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, fucking Mickey looks fucking dead these days. I'm convinced he actually is.
He definitely is.
They just prop him up, you know. I mean, I saw the other day, somebody was at the same tour and unfortunately fell from the balcony.
Yeah, no, I heard about that.
Yeah,
No,
the
that's
sounds of it, they might well have jumped. But, any more of that? They, might have been mass. You know, people like lemmings just jumping off. Please take me now. You know,
I know, right?
can't
It's
take
like,
it.
I can't do this.
The only
I need an excuse to get out of here.
the only positive publicity I've seen them have recently is Tommy Lee had another shot leaked.
Yeah, he flashed his dick on Instagram, and now he's
people that
up again.
Apparently didn't get the memo in 1995 when he already had the sex video with Pamela Anderson.
Yeah. No, he didn't get that memo.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, I know it's just
like, how old is he? What, like 60 something? Like that?
And they've had the miniseries recently, the Pam and
Tommy thing. Yeah, I heard. I have no interest in watching that.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything more less interesting, to be honest. I remember at the time being, you know, even then thinking like, what is this obsession with these idiots, like plastic nonsense people that don't really exist in the real world, you know. So let's see if we can find a way to bring things round and dock back in port. Don't even know that. Just that sounded good in my head, and then I said it, and I'm like, what the fuck am I talking about here?
Yeah. Wait, but let me just say one thing about the concerts. So that show was Motley Crue was a shit show. I made up for it a week later seeing this guy.
Buddy Guy, yeah.
What one of the best shows I ever went to, easily.
And he still does the walking through the crowds, playing the guitar. Because you used to posted the picture, which was amazing.
It almost like he was watching me right at the center and walked right up to me. It was almost like that, like he spotted me. It was almost like that. Like, at least it felt like that. And he was literally inches from me, and just he was looking at me, like nodding his head, jamming. Like, oh my god, I'm looking at fucking Buddy Guy with his polka dot guitar, and holy shit. Oh my god.
You always have that rush when you see a legend. Like, you always have it when you go to a gig, because it's, you know, if you know the person, it's cool. But when you see a legend, like the first time I saw Bob Dylan, and I'm going, that's Bob Dylan standing.
That's Bob Dylan, yes.
Fucking Bob Dylan. Or there's just Neil Young over there, and he's wearing a hat. It's Neil Young. You know, like, you have these bizarre little moments where you don't quite take it in, you know, because they're human sized.
Right.
You know, it's like, they're people. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They exist in the real world.
They exist, right?
They're not just coming out.
Buddy Guy's polka dot guitar is real.
Yeah, and he's got the longest wire ever for it.
Yeah, seriously, right?
I think these days they'd rig up something that you could just walk around without the wire, but no, I still, you know, or just go for a walk and the band can play, but no, it still takes it around.
So awesome.
It's a hell of a show. I saw Buddy in 2007 on the Skin Deep tour.
Skin Deep? Oh, yeah. I remember you mentioning
2007, 2008.
Yeah.
That was a great record.
Yeah, this was called the Backwoods. I think it was the Backwoods Blues Festival. It was hosted by Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I know you definitely know Kenny Wayne. So it was his personal festival. It was the first festival of ever. Like, the first one he kicked off was in Providence, where I live. And so I don't know if you're into like any modern blues stuff, but do you know of Kingfish, Chris Owen Kingfish? Yeah. He opened up the show, and he was great. Like, he's if there's a modern day Buddy Guy, in my opinion, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Buddy Guy actually is featured on Kingfish's first album,
Mm-hmm.
Fresh Out, and Kingfish was awesome. And then after that, Kenny Wayne Shepherd came on. He put on a killer set, and then Buddy Guy obviously closed the night, and all three were just phenomenal. Like, it was just a great show all around.
Have you heard, because you've already mentioned them in passing, have you heard the Raids?
What's up?
The Rides, Rides.
I don't believe so.
That is a band, and if you haven't heard of them, you'll think I'm making this up. That are from 2015, something like that. And they have two lead guitar players, and one is Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Is it?
And the other one, Stephen Stills. Yeah. As in Stephen Stills.
Stephen Stills.
Yeah. The Rides. The two albums.
Really?
Yeah. Stills and Kenny Wayne Shepherd have got a blues rock band that came out in the last 10 years, did two records, and for some reason nobody's heard of them.
Holy shit!
They're on record.
I missed that one.
Oh my god! They're on record. They're out. There's, it's not like they just did a couple of live shows and that was it. They've made two albums. They're out there. You can buy them. The Rides, Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Stephen Stills.
Are those albums easy to find? Like, can you order them? Really?
Normal Records.
I'm gonna after this is over, I'm gonna have to look that up.
It's so weird. People just don't know. You'd think the blues fans would pick up on it for being.
You would think so, right?
Yeah, Kenny Wayne, because Kenny Wayne was Joe Bonamassa before Joe Bonamassa.
Right.
He was the young kid of blues who's now becoming the 40-year-old guy of blues. That everybody watched grow up. And Steve Stills is obviously Steve Stills. So
Steve Stills, yeah.
It's just bizarre that nobody knows that they have a band.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. I'm after this is over, I'm gonna have to look that up because damn, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, well, I'll just pull up the details just and see if there's anybody else that
I'm
not remembering that's in the band. The Rides band. The Rides. Here we go. So a little bit before I thought, but 2013. So it's Stills, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and then Barry Goldberg on keyboards has played with and produced albums. But oh my gosh, Barry Goldberg has produced Percy Sledge, Charlie Musselwhite, James Cotton. Wow, that's pretty nifty. And then they made two records. One is called Can't Get Enough in 2013.
Yeah.
Which includes a version of Search and Destroy by the Stooges. So Stills and Kenny Wayne Shepherd doing the Stooges.
Holy shit.
It's got Honeybee by the Muddy Waters.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's got Talk to Me Baby, the Elmore James track.
Yeah.
Rocking in the Free World.
What?
Yes, Stills doing that. I think you're going to be spending some money tonight, Mr. Hagopian.
I'm gonna spend. Yeah,
and then the next album, a few more originals, but they still do covers. They do. I've Got to Use My Imagination, the Jerry Goffin track, and the last track is Willie Dixon's classic, which was done by Little Walter. My babe, don't stand no cheating, my babe.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's a real blues rock super group that nobody's heard of. I've no idea why. And although Stills isn't considered a blues player, anybody who's heard the album that he did, the Super Sessions with Mike Bloomfield and Al Cooper from '68.
Yeah.
Whoa, Stills can play the blues. That was before Crosby, Stills and Nash. He was making that record. Stunning guitar player, very underrated guitar player, I think, Steve Stills.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because he's got the misfortune of being in a band with Neil Young, which twice, which kind of overshadows you a little bit. And then Kenny Wayne Shepherd's in your band, you're also going to get overshadowed on guitar a little bit too.
Just a little bit, yeah.
But I guess just like it's a bit like Joe Bonamassa. I think he's been in about 10 bands in the past 10 years as well. So
something like that, yeah. He's been around.
He's got those funk bands, and he's done one-off projects. And it's just bizarre.
He's all over the place.
Yeah. Never ends, and that's what keeps us going, isn't it?
Absolutely right.
Tyler, we don't normally plug much on here, but you've always got interesting content. So you get in. I mean, you don't have. You're like me. I like this attitude. You and me just do stuff when the fuck we want.
Whenever the fuck we want.
Yeah. We ain't got time for planning. We'll sleep when we're dead. have you got any notions of content that anything that you're thinking, well, there's maybe something there, or you don't need to reveal anything, or just
so yeah, so what do I got? So we're so your amazing host, Davy, along with Ryan Gavalier from Ryan's Final Destination. Both of you guys are on my channel now, and we're going over the Friday the 13th franchise. We just did the first movie last week. So that video is out. If you haven't looked at that one, definitely check that one out. We're gonna be doing the second movie, Friday the 13th, part 2. That's gonna be next week. And then it's just gonna be a bi-weekly thing. Every single Friday the 13th movie, we're just gonna review and just bullshit about that the man in the hockey mask. So yeah, that's so I have the Friday the 13th coming on. I do have a little blues segment called Feeling the Monday Blues. That goes on Mondays. Where I just pick literally 3 random blues records out of my collection, just bullshit about them. So Feeling Monday Blues, those are on on Mondays. What else? I don't necessarily have a whole lot going on.
well,
I don't know.
I'll tell you what you've got going on, young man.
Yeah, tell me.
You are coming back onto this channel, and I'm not even asking you. I'm telling you now. I'm not even asking you.
That's totally
You
cool.
are coming on because Ryan's already agreed. So we've got Friday in your channel. We're always in Ryan's channel doing something or other anyway. You and Ryan are going to be joining me on here, and we're going to do the Reanimator trilogy.
The Reanimator trilogy. Sign me up. Let's do this.
Doing that. That should launch in October. We'll do one a month and From Beyond as well.
Perfect.
As a
I'm totally down for that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure. So remember, you did like Reanimator, so it's not as if I've just suggested something completely.
No, I love Reanimator. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jeffrey Combs, I love you so much. I want to kill people after I see that movie. I want to reanimate them and see if it works. I've even got the little. I've got the syringe with the neon green in it.
Do you?
Yeah, it came in one of the DVD special editions. A little pen with the syringe.
Yeah. Oh no way! That's awesome.
Pretty
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can't shoot up with it though. That's the only problem. I tried it.
There you go. There you go.
I needed one of you guys to come out and help me after that, trying to shoot up with ink. Not a good idea. Just try to reanimate myself after a really bad night out, but didn't work.
Right.
Didn't work. So that'll be coming to this channel soon. It'll be the first series with collaborators. So we're going to launch that hopefully for Halloween. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And apart from that, yeah, let's take this pony home.
Sure.
Because I just keep saying these random phrases tonight. Let's take the ship back into dock. Let's take this pony home. What do these things mean?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I say a lot of stupid shit anyway, so go for it.
Your stupid shit sounds interesting though. My stupid shit just sounds like I've lost my fucking mind, which I have. So Tyler, it's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you for having me. This was awesome. Just shooting the shit, and
yeah, no,
this is great. Yeah,
it's been fun. So you will be back on very soon when we start the Reanimator series, and I will link to your channel and link to the Friday vids, and people check out Tyler for both the music and film content because by gosh, he knows his stuff about both, inside and out, front and back, up and down, left and right, cats and dogs living together. Yeah, that's going into Ghostbusters there at the moment.
Yeah.
Colored fates. No, okay. Well, it's late at night, Tyler. I'm getting weird.
You're supposed to be weird. It's
right.
There you go.
Let's do our wrap-ups. Tyler, I like your wrap-up. Show them how you finish your videos.
All right. So thank you all so much for watching. hopefully I wasn't too much of a cringy asshole during this whole segment.
Please.
I tend to say some stupid shit, so whatever. That's just kind of my personality, I guess. So no, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out LP Tremors, I do have that channel out. You'll a lot of what you saw is what you see, what you would normally see on LP Tremors. Just kind of me shooting the shit about the stuff I like. So music to horror movies. So all the above, right? So as always, stay metal, stay scared, and have a good night. Bye, guys.
We'll wrap it up there, folks. Stay very safe. Love and mercy. All we're going to hear next is the Zoom Lady. All you're going to hear, Sound of Silence. And whatever you watch next, take it easy, folks. Good night.
Take care, guys.
This is the bit, Tyler, where I don't press the stop recording button and then act as if I've done that on purpose, right? And then
of course,
the viewers get an extra little bit of like, oh, is he doing this on purpose? Yeah,
it's the encore, right?
Yeah,
it's the encore.
Where we can say some, some really dark stuff, and people won't know if it's real or not. Like, hey, do you want to know who really killed Kennedy? Right. Here comes the stop recording button.
Here we go,
folks.